right, we're back for part 3 of the Walkman Repair-A-Thon. Today we're dealing with the Sanyo, although I know it's not a Walkman, portable cassette player. This is an M4430. This guy is a beaut. It actually has one of these slip-over cases on it. It's just an absolutely beautiful looking machine. But it still has a problem. Originally, when I got it, it had corroded battery terminals, so I cleaned those off as best I could. I thought, well, battery terminals aren't going to be a video, so I cleaned those off. But then I popped a tape in, and I got it hooked up to a speaker here, and its volume is absolutely cranked, and this is what we get. I'll take the microphone off and move it closer. So the sound is completely distorted, and it's really low. So originally I thought maybe it was the volume knob, which it still could be, but I really think this is probably going to be capacitors. I'm hoping that they haven't leaked and gone everywhere and is going to make this impossible to fix. But it still works, so hopefully it's not too bad inside, and hopefully we can fix it. So let's take a look inside. All right, so first we got to get the batteries out. This beaut takes 4 batteries. 4. So it looks like it has 4 Phillips screws on the back to open it. Okay, all 4 screws appear to be the same, so it doesn't look like there's a problem there. I marked where they go, but they all appear to be the same. Oh, we also have one on the bottom here. And it is different. So I will make a note of that. Put it in a different spot. Okay, so that came off pretty easy. Okay, the first thing we're going to take off is this shield here. So I want to try to get the board out, and after I took out the shield screw, that appears to be one of the screws that holds down the board, there are 3 other ones. So let's take these out. Or 4 other ones. There's another one over there. Let's see how different they are. These 2 are the same. That one is the same. And that one's the same. Oh, looks like we can take the faceplate off. Let's see if this comes off easy. Nope, never easy. Okay, that one came off. And that one's off there too. So but that is attached to this stuff. I have to disconnect the motor wires. And these wires back here. That is a heck of a blob of solder to hold on one little wire. I might have to get out my bigger soldering tips. All right, so we got the board out, so let's take a look at these capacitors. I honestly don't see a problem, but of course I said that about the sports Walkman too. So when I test one of the capacitors that's supposed to be a 470, it's coming up at 345. That tells me that that's not a good capacitor, but if I'm wrong, I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments. I think what I'm going to do is start going around and removing capacitors and then testing them and see if they are bad and then replace them. So every single capacitor that I took off was a considerably different value than what it was supposed to be. There were a couple, like one I think was close, but the other one, so like there seems to be two of everything, which is why I think it's on the left and the right channel. One on the right channel was fine, but the left channel was bad. So kind of how the sound was going. So I replaced both of them anyway. I still want to test this last blue one up here to see, and then there's a whole bunch of other little caps in there, but I want to put it back together a bit just to see if this is making any difference at all. But before I put it back together, I want to spray all of the potentiometers with some deoxit to make sure that they are clean and ready. I guess one of the nice things about this, it's a one-sided board, so if the capacitors had leaked, there's not a lot of places it could do damage unless it had actually seeped around and got onto the other side of the board. The belt seems to be pretty good condition, so I don't think I'm going to change it. Let's just put this back together and see if we've made any difference. So I got everything connected, except for I did not reconnect the front microphone or the light, not really required at this point. And I put in one screw just to kind of hold things in place a little bit. So rather than trying to get the batteries to stay in properly, I got a power adapter hooked up that is set to 6 volts, and it's working in there. Excellent. So let's turn on our speaker.
Bluetooth mode has been on. Now is aux in mode.
I don't think that has made any difference at all. Okay, so this has gone a little further than what I had totally expected. Um, I thought it was going to be just capacitors, but what it ends up, I think it's the power amplifiers are shot. And here's why I think that. I've determined that this area on the board here is all of the left and right audio circuitry for the tape playback. Up here is for the microphone and for recording. I have replaced every capacitor on here and has not changed anything. I thought, hey, maybe the cassette head itself is bad. So when I was listening to the audio with all the capacitors replaced, it phases and out, in and out on one of the channels, and the other channel is completely gone. Not even there. I've wired up directly to the head of the cassette deck, which is this wire. This wire coming in here is the audio that is coming in straight from the head of the cassette player. And I have wired up a cable going from there to a huge powered speaker that you can't see because it's just off screen. I'll just kind of there. I'll tip it in. You can see it here. I needed this because it has a bigger amplifier in it compared to my little test Bluetooth speaker, which is actually my daughter's, believe it or not. It's her little Bluetooth speaker that she uses, but it has no independent volume control. It's all dependent on the device. I hooked this up and pressed play on the tape and then cranked all the way to 10. And I can just barely hear the audio, and it's fine. There's no fading in and out. All the song is there, and everything seems to be okay. I'm going to take my microphone off, and I'm going to put it up to the speaker to see if you can hear it. Hopefully that came through. The point is that the cassette head is reading the data. Everything is there, not reading the data, reading the analog audio that's on the tape, and it is figuring it out and playing it back. So that means that the problem is in the amplification circuitry. Okay, so again, I've replaced every single capacitor here. I took out the transistors and tested them. They seem fine. But the only thing that I can't test is the power amplifiers, which are those two SIP9 packages right there. And they are an LA4140. I guess the only thing I could do is try to remove it, swap them, and see if the problem switches. Just to try to confirm, I swapped the two power amplifiers and the problem followed. So before, the completely distorted audio was on the right channel and there was nothing on the left. So after swapping them, the completely distorted audio is on the left channel and there is nothing on the right. So that tells me that one of the amplifiers is completely dead, which is why there's no audio, and one of them is severely damaged. So I'm going to go ahead and get some new ones of these, and hopefully that will fix the problem. It has been 6 months since I worked on this project. Why? Because it has been absolutely impossible to get this part. I obviously got it because it's in my hand, but let me tell you a little story. I started this project in December of 2024. It is now currently the end of June 2025. So when I was working on it, I ordered the parts from AliExpress and they got lost in the mail. Then I ordered the parts again from eBay and they got lost in the mail. Then I finally ordered parts from Amazon and they got here, but it took forever. So now we finally have parts to fix this. Well, I was going to say Walkman, but really it's portable cassette player. Walkman is a Sony thing, but that's kind of like calling it a Kleenex. Everybody knows the brand, not the product. Let's get these in and see if this finally fixes this cassette player. And then I got to figure out how to put it back together because it's been 6 months. I'm going to have to go over all my old footage and see if I can find out how to do this again. All right, let's pull this bad boy out of here and get all of its parts out. All right, got to undo all these wires again so I can get the board out. Okay, these are the two pieces that we need to replace. Those were the power amplifiers, if I remember from 6 months ago. Okay, so there is a dot on them. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, so there's the dot denoting the pin orientation. So if you recall the last time, well, actually you probably recall because it's just been a couple minutes in terms of the video. But the last thing I did was I swapped, because one of these amplifiers was completely blown and one was letting some crackly sound through. So what I had done was I reversed them. I flipped them. So left channel was, let's say it was the left channel that was crackly. I flipped the two amplifiers and then suddenly the right channel became crackly and the left channel became dead. So that's how we determined that these were the bad parts and not something else on the board. So let's get these new ones in. Let's get them soldered into place. And hopefully this just solves the problem and it just works. One of the great things about this being an older device is it's a one-sided board, which meant that I just had to use solder wick to get all the solder off those pads. It just came up super easy and was super easy to do. I didn't have to get out the solder sucker or any of that stuff. Well, I can't find my blue tack, so I'm going to have to just tack one of the pins in and hold it in by hand. The new amplifiers are installed. Let's hope they work. All right, let's see if I can get this back together again and see if it works. It'd be really nice if it did, because I don't want to have to do this again or try to figure out how to find out which amplifier parts work and which don't. But anyway, let's do this. All right, all the wires are reconnected except for this one because I don't remember where it went, so I'm going to have to look that up. All right, so I went back, reviewed my old footage, and managed to get the board screws back down again. I've got the wires all taped down to keep them out of the way. I haven't tested it yet. I feel kind of like Stestic's fix, and I'm putting it all back together without testing it, but I'm feeling a little lucky today. And if you've stumbled upon my channel and haven't checked out his channel yet, Stestic's Fix, I'll put a link down below, or I don't know, maybe up here if I can do it. I probably can. I have no idea. But anyway, you got to check his channel out. He's awesome. All right, let's put the case back together. Oh wait, there's other stuff I got to solder on too. Yeah, these connectors. Where does this go again? Man, I'm gonna have to go back and really look at my footage. Hold on, forgot all about that. Okay, got the front panel thing connected again. Figured out where those wires go thanks to the power of me taking pictures 6 months ago. So let's get this back together. So I just got to put this back and take that down again. Okay, getting the top back together was kind of like a weird jigsaw puzzle. It's looking good. So we got 5 case screws. 4 of them are identical, and then there is one teeny tiny one. I'm going to assume the long ones go on the back here. And this one goes inside the battery compartment. And then the little teeny tiny one goes on the bottom right here. There we go. All back together. Let's throw some batteries in this. This is one of the weirdest battery configurations I've seen. They actually all go the same way. You know, rather than your traditional this one way, you know, back and forth. They all go in exactly the same way. Here we go. Throwing in YouTube-friendly music. I have it hooked up to my little Bose speaker here, which apparently needs a new battery. So that might be another video. Let's turn the volume right down. Here we go. It's working. Sweet. So there it is, all put back together in its really awesome puffy case. This is totally 80s, early 80s for sure. Can't remember when this actually came out. Let me look that up. Okay, boy, was I off on this one. This came out in 1975. I'm glad we saved another piece of electronics from the bin, from going into landfill, because this one is really awesome and I really love it. And the case is just great. It just screams, like I said, late 70s, early 80s portable electronics, where it's so small for back then, but super bulky for what we consider portable now. But that's it for this video. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, tell your friends. Really helps out the channel. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.